Aaron Tuttle here. It's storm season in Oklahoma, and with that comes torrential rain, high winds, and hail. To protect your home and your family from these threats, the one roofing company you should trust is Ferguson Roof Systems. They've been providing the best in roofing services for nearly half a century. Ferguson is Oklahoma's full-service roofing company, certified with an A+ Better Business Bureau rating and a 5-star rating on Google. And with Ferguson now offering Class 4 impact-resistant shingles, now is the time to trust them with your home's roof. Get started today at FergusonRoofSystems.com.
Hey there, Meteorologist Aaron Tuttle back with you again. It is about 10 minutes till 10 o'clock. This will be our weather update as we head into the forecast period for Wednesday, as we'll be talking about more severe weather coming our way toward the middle of the week. Tonight's event's kind of starting to wrap up a little bit. There's still some storms out there. We'll briefly show those. Otherwise, tonight's focus will be on what we can expect here in about 48 hours from now. So thanks for joining me. We'll give you the forecast kind of early on, and then for those that want to stay for a little bit more of the details as to why things ought to happen, that'll take another probably 10 minutes to go through. So the first 5 minutes just be on the forecast side rather quickly, in case you got some things to do, got to get ready for bed, etc. All right, well, we've had some clearing of the skies here in my backyard, so temperatures are cooling down as well. We've got 57 degrees here. Northwest wind has been gusting up around 20 plus miles per hour, so I've seen some pretty good change here around my area. So hopefully you got some good rainfall out of this. Let's take a look at that, as a matter of fact, here in a second. We're going to look at the current situation, just to let you know there's still some storms out there. These line up all the way from southwestern Missouri into eastern Oklahoma, stretching all the way down, a lot of lightning all the way down through McAllister, Atoka, Ardmore, etc. There was one tornado warning for a funnel that was sighted down north of Atoka around the Colgate area, but that since didn't really do anything, so that warning has been dropped. But things will continue to press out of the state for the remainder of this evening and start to improve. Now, we have this big cluster. It's called an MCV or MCS, a convective system that's moving through the state. This is a water vapor channel. You can also see that here on the infrared satellite as well. All the darker reds indicate very tall clouds. So it's very cold cloud tops, which means some big, strong, tall thunderstorms producing a lot of rain, which is what we needed. Okay, so out there currently, we have these northwest winds bringing in temperatures from the 40s. Southeast Oklahoma, you still have some temperatures in the upper 70s with the southeast winds. So there's still a little bit of instability left over for some of those storms, but not much. It's a razor-thin margin of anything of consequence. But otherwise, temperatures will continue to cool down as that colder air works its way in from the north and west. So things will be a little chilly here for you for tonight. At least we're not going to see a freeze across most of the state. I say most. I'll show you that here in a second. You can see winds gusting up around 20 to 30, even 40 miles per hour out here in western parts of the state. You can definitely tell where that cold front lies, right? Pretty much right in here. So that front will continue to press southward, take those storms along with it, along with all of the inclement weather. All right, well, we did have some winds gusting up today in excess of 40, 50, 60 miles per hour. Some of this was earlier in the day, and some of it here was this evening. So there you go. Rainfall amounts, very decent, finally. So good for the drought, right? Here in central and parts of northwestern and western Oklahoma, and yes, eastern Oklahoma, though, still getting rain. It seems to be like a dividing line, that I-35 corridor. East, you guys have been getting a lot of rain lately. The west, not so much. So today we made the difference a little bit. 1 to 2, maybe even pockets of 3 inches of rain in these darker green areas across central Oklahoma. So looking forward to that. Okay, so there is a threat of severe weather on Wednesday, anchored here across the southern plains. It does extend all into Texas, parts of Kansas and Missouri, and also Arkansas. But it's kind of mostly centered over Oklahoma. Right now, this is the drawing of that, and that's just a generic broad brush paintbrush, so to speak. This is not very detailed. The model data is just now coming in within that 48-hour window, so we'll just now start to get a look at how things ought to progress during that day. Now tonight, temperatures will be dropping into the 30s, and yes, the 20s out in the Oklahoma Panhandle and Texas as well. Dalhart 29, 40 in Elk City, 45 Oklahoma City, so much better there. Tomorrow, quite a bit cooler and nice. We'll be into the 60s and some 70s out there over Oklahoma, so pretty decent. On Wednesday, we're going to warm you just a little bit more into the low to mid 70s, maybe some upper 70s near 80 along the Red River. So not a whole lot of instability to work with as far as heat goes on Wednesday, but we'll have some moisture that will return. So here's a look at the rest of this evening and overnight. Those storms move out of the state. Things are looking good, like we talked about for Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, look for some morning showers and storms to roll through. I'm looking forward to this. This should be much needed beneficial rain again as that cluster moves in. Now, what happens in the afternoon, though, is the issue. The atmosphere keeps us mostly uncapped, and it just keeps generating these scattered showers and storms everywhere. And yes, some of these, it has these little helicity tracks with them, which indicate some pockets of hail, some wind, and maybe even a tornado or two. And the atmosphere around here, unfortunately, is pretty stout for potential tornadoes. If I were to kind of just to pick a spot here where it's not raining, just to show you, the forecast sounding calls for a PDS tornado situation, which is a significant tornado setup again, with the effective shear over 200 meters per second squared, low LCLs, significant hail sizes up in excess of 4 inches in diameter. So, it looks pretty potent, no cap at all. Convective temperature of 77 degrees, for example. So, I don't know, it looks pretty messy on Wednesday, looking at some of the latest data this evening that just came out, which is different than the data that we had earlier to look at from the mid-afternoon runs. So a couple of other models that kind of show you the storm breakdown for Wednesday. Matter of fact, let me shove this down here to the south. So there is our HRR, very short-term model. Here's another one, which has some supercells out there across western Oklahoma as well. Here's another one. It's got a big mess here in central Oklahoma, and here's another one. So not nearly as widespread in coverage, but still kind of the take-home is more showers and storms. And finally, the tech model also shows some supercell storms coming into southwest Oklahoma and other scattered showers and storms elsewhere across central parts of the state as we head into Wednesday evening. Temperatures out there are nice and cool again for Tuesday. Otherwise, Wednesday looks pretty nice, 73, give or take on your direction. There will be a remnants of a cold front around, so temperatures will be cooler across the north than they are across the south, and that might be a dividing line right here in the metro. On Thursday, though, and Friday, still in the 70s, but all of a sudden, we just, out of nowhere, we hit that 9-degree reading on Sunday, so I hope you're ready for the summer heat. It's going to sneak in a little early. Otherwise, we're back into the 80s after that, with overnight lows into the 60s. So with all this recent rain and these warmer lows coming up, the Bermuda grass is going to love it, so it's going to start to go gangbusters. So I hope you got your lawnmower ready. All right, well, that was a quick look at your forecast. It took all of like 5 minutes. For those of you folks that need to get, you are free to move about the cabin. The rest of you, if you want to find out exactly some of the details on these severe weather indices and why things ought to work out the way they will on Wednesday, hang tight. We'll spend about 5 minutes and go through that, and then we'll turn you loose. Okay, so let's go back to the data. Let's see. First things first. All right, so the purple indicates dew point values are in the 70s. So we've got the deep moisture kind of pooled across these southern Red River counties into North Texas. And you will notice here on this map, there seems to be this little dividing line here of color, right? Well, it's because there's less humidity here and much more humidity here. So as far as severe weather magnitude and shear and instability for storms, et cetera, it seems to want to favor, the southern area of Oklahoma and into North Texas. Just given just that parameter alone. And two different models kind of tell the same tale. If I flip back and forth, there's not a whole lot of difference between the two of them with the kind of an easterly wind. Now, an easterly wind can be a troublesome wind when you're talking about tornadoes. All right, let's take a look at the upper levels of the atmosphere. This time around, we have a jet streak coming overhead in the jet stream. We didn't have that today. That was one of our limiting factors, but we'll have it on Wednesday. So this is going to help to kind of exhaust that air at the top. At 500 millibar levels, we have a nice mid-level jet streak coming through, so that's going to help to booster the wind. 850 millibars, a nice low-level jet from the south-southwest coming in for the late afternoon and evening. So all those things are on the table. Let's see here. What else do you want to look at? We can try this one. This is the theta E axis, which shows kind of where moisture is pooled and instability resides, and that kind of extends across North Texas on into southern Oklahoma. So that's kind of the favorite area. But each model is going to be a little bit different where they place the developing frontal boundaries. Like this one has a frontal boundary really more up to the north in northern Oklahoma than it does central. It all kind of depends on how that morning rain goes again. That can really mess things up in a forecast, especially if you're trying to look 2 days away. But what we can look at is to see if the models think that the cap will be a factor. And as to right now, if we kind of look through a few of them here, so keep in mind some of these models have the frontal boundary kind of splitting the state in half, right? So that would make this area more capped than this area. This area would be the warm sector in this region. So therefore, it has the area that is not very capped at all. In other words, in the white, the more color you see on the map, these greater these numbers indicates the stronger the cap. So again, there's one model there. Here's another model here. Here's a model there, and there's a model there. So you can tell there's a lot of areas where the models seem to think that the cap will not be a factor. If we do factor in the instability when we talk about cape and shear and find out where that best combination resides, it seems to be into lower third of Oklahoma and into North Texas. Again, the brighter the color, the more instability. So there's one model there. Here's another one that keeps it again mostly down south into North Texas. Here's another one that does move a little bit more north into central Oklahoma. And then here's the final one, which also keeps it kind of more south, really the southern third, but does kind of creep it here into Oklahoma and Canadian counties, splitting us right in half. With the south side, some instability, and the north side, not so much. So it looks like right now it's a close call, too close to make, but we'll know that frontal boundary will be in the vicinity of central Oklahoma. Now, when you factor in the significant tornado parameter, in other words, the best parameters for seeing tornadoes, the brighter the colors, the stronger the parameter. So, again, here's focused in across the southern third of the state. Here's another model which keeps a little bit more in the same area but closer to the river, not nearly as bullish. Here's another one that brings a little bit more north, and here's another one that kind of a mixture of all of them, but keeps it from I-40 corridor points to the south. And that's where we looked at that forecast sounding a minute ago, which does so, if there's some storms out here, they could be tornadic and significant. And unfortunately, it's just one of those things we're going to have to deal with. And I think, and here's a close-up view of one of those a little bit, down along the Red River and also into the Texas Panhandle. So we did show you the forecast sounding for that. So what we could do, let me go back to, is it this guy here? Yeah. All right. So this is what's interesting about this. So I showed a moment ago. So we have that morning convection, right, that moves on through. And then it's not like we need to warm up. We stay in the 70s, mostly across the state. So it's not like we need that heat to get things going. It just keeps bubbling up in an uncapped, what we call the warm sector environment, where you just have moisture that returns in a favorable shear profile. And so basically it kind of says these thunderstorms, these embedded thunderstorms, just have embedded tornadoes off and on with some of the stronger updrafts. So we'll have to see if that pans out. That's a pretty messy forecast, which, we don't get those setups here too often in Oklahoma. They're pretty rare. Here's a different model which indicates that big round of rain in the morning hours on Wednesday. So I'm thankful for the rain. We definitely need it. And it moves right through central Oklahoma. But notice it never really ends. That first round kind of moves out, but a secondary round kind of develops in its wake. Here's 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock stretch of storms. Let me just pick a forecast sounding here. Right around Paul's Valley, just kind of take a look. And it's kind of like the other high-resolution model. PDS tornado with events up around EF3, EF4, hail up over 2 inches in diameter, 2.5, maybe 3. No cap at all, enough instability and enough shear to where it's like a free-for-all. Just scattered showers and storms with just embedded tornadoes. That's not a very good outcome that you're going to want to see. So regardless, that kind of moves through Wednesday, late afternoon and evening. That activity kind of continues into Wednesday late. Here's 2 o'clock in the morning. It's still ongoing. Let me take another forecast sounding just to see what the atmosphere looks like at that point. Still, PDS tornado, no cap is built in. It could be a very long day, a long evening with severe weather. And then if we look here to the northwest, looks like that cold front lights up some storms. And maybe these move through during the overnight period and kind of put the kibosh down as it kind of clears out the state toward daybreak. But this looks like a very messy setup where the way things are trending, this is early in the stage, this is early in the game. Do a little forecast sounding down here. PDS tour. It's not good. In other words, today had a lot of ingredients for tornadoes. It didn't have all of them, but it had the majority of them, and we did get some tornadoes out of it. This situation, not only does it have all the ingredients, it has all the ingredients for a long time. and it's not a diurnal event where it kicks off late afternoon and wraps up early evening. So you have like a 4 hour window, right, of the most opportunity. This is one of those deals where it just kicks in and just stays with us overnight. So that would be a very long and troublesome evening into overnight hours with numerous tornadoes. So that right now is what the data suggests. It is Monday evening. This is for a Tuesday evening event, so it's 48 hours. We're just now in the window where we are starting to get the better resolution data for these type of events to discuss. So each morning and evening from here on out, with better data that comes in, we'll have a better look at this. But don't be surprised if it goes to a moderate risk of severe weather and if things go to a high risk of severe weather. It just depends on those cases where the Storm Prediction Center sees an area fairly large that's completely uncapped and has ridiculous amounts of shear and instability. They'll go high risk, because what that means is there's numerous reports of severe weather within a certain grid point. And like we saw on the map, there are grid points loaded with storms everywhere. So they have no choice but to go on a higher category. But we'll see what happens over the next couple of days with the data. But that is where things, unfortunately, are moving toward. So hope that was helpful for you. All right, so that was it for me. So yeah, Stephanie, I see your comment on YouTube. Unfortunately, just when I'm in that severe weather mode from, getting ready to go live and when I'm live and even after, I mean, I couldn't even get caught up if you wanted me to. I got so many things to deal with and messages that are sent. It's funny, everybody sends me messages when it gets stormy. I'm like, you guys, I'm not going to have time to answer any of those. Just so you know. Best thing to do is ask me your questions long before any event starts up, and that way you better shot at getting them answered. So anyways, there you go. So thanks for tuning in here tonight. I appreciate that. Sherry says, when do they begin? They don't stop. I don't know if you noticed that. They start in the morning hours, and then they don't stop. It's off and on all day, and then it's kind of like, as the afternoon wears on, the ingredients get a little bit better and better for tornadoes, and that continues on into the evening hours. So that is the reason why that happens there. Kristen, I don't really like the weather guy here in Northwest Arkansas. That's why I follow you. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. But yeah, I get it. Let's see. Pittsburgh, Kansas, Trevor. So you guys are on the colder side of things. Southwestern Kansas, maybe from the Panhandle region, from some of those storms that may cross over the border. But they're going to get into the colder side, the more stable side of the air mass. So right now it does not look like a Kansas deal. It looks mostly just like an Oklahoma and North Texas deal at this point. So that's what I've got here for you. All right. I've got to run. I'm exhausted, to be frank with you. And I got way too much stuff to get caught up behind the scenes, so I got to deal with that. But I'll do a lunchtime live tomorrow and a live tomorrow evening. And then that way you'll be up to date. On Wednesday, I might have some bad news for you. I've got a prior engagement for my job, so I probably won't be able to do severe weather coverage on Wednesday, which, trust me, is making me cringe deep inside. I'm very distraught, especially the way things are looking. So I don't know if I can work any magic on that end. So worst case scenario, I'll be out of pocket and not able to help out. And trust me, that's going to drive me up a wall. So I'm going to have to find some type of inner peace with that, because this is what I do and I can't do it. I'm already getting anxious just thinking about it. So anyway, so that's the status with that. But we'll see what I can do. Maybe I can change some things around, but it doesn't look likely. Otherwise, you know what? I didn't even look Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday or beyond. Let me take a real quick peek just because I need to see it for myself for planning purposes. All right, so hang on there for a second. I'm just going to use the European. It's good as any. All right, so let's see. Storms. Okay, Monday. All right, here is Wednesday in the morning. Okay, and then there's Wednesday afternoon and evening, just all over the state. and Wednesday evening and Wednesday night and a Thursday morning, several rounds. That looks like fun, right? All right. Anything after that? No. Quiet. Done. Oh, there was something that snuck in there. What was that? Monday the 9th, maybe. And another event Tuesday on the 10th. That's it. So, woohoo! I'm all for quiet because this time of the year, unfortunately, if you get storms, they're usually nasty storms because we peak on our severe weather season here this time of the year as we head to the middle of May. Real quick, I forgot to post this earlier, but I just did my opt-in for weather updates. So if you're having a tough time getting notified when I go live, hit that button, opt in, and then I'll send you an instant message from your Facebook Messenger. That way you won't miss a broadcast. I meant to do that earlier, and I forgot. I got my brain shot, so I got too many other things going on. All right, listen, guys, appreciate your time tonight. Thanks for your patronage and all that stuff and your support and watching earlier coverage. And we shall talk with you again tomorrow. Sleep well, and hopefully all of you did okay with the storms tonight. All right, take care.